What's up guys, Ibra here with Canucks, and we can all agree on the fact that the most important peripheral for gaming is a mouse. It plays a huge role directing your aim, selection speed, and even navigating through windows. Of course, factors like the type of sensor, ergonomics, buttons, tracking, and more are all important aspects of designing a gaming mouse. However, there are a lot of individual opinions, likes and dislikes, which make it almost impossible to find a one-size-fits-all solution. Today we'll be taking a look at a product that has been developed by Xtrfy in partnership with a popular esports pioneer, Emil Christensen, otherwise known as Heaton, and this is it, the M3. Now, Emil is a very successful Counter-Strike player, so when designing a mouse like this, he definitely should have thought about the factors that I mentioned earlier. So will the M3 be the ultimate gaming mouse for FPS shooters? We'll find out after a quick message from our sponsor.
Creativity is fueled by the best instruments. It doesn't always come easy, and in the process you often realize how important quality is. The RD400 by OCZ gives you quality and speed with M.2 interface, Toshiba NAND flash, and a PCI bracket, making it possible to focus on what matters. Invest in storage that makes a difference with a 5-year advanced warranty.
The M3 is priced at 80 euros, which might raise a lot of questions for our North American viewers regarding availability. Unfortunately, this mouse is only available in European markets, but that's necessarily not a bad thing. First of all, there have been enough buzz about the M3 that some North American gamers have actually imported it from overseas. Also, SteelSeries offers their very similar Rival 300 for $60. That mouse features the exact same Pixar 3310 optical sensor found on the M3. On top of that, you get more or less the same ergonomic shape and RGB illumination, so what's so special about the M3? To be honest, I'm actually not quite sure about the answer to that question, so let's analyze it from top to bottom to see if the price point is justifiable. The build quality is great, the body is mostly covered in this soft touch rubber surface, and it's one of my favorite features of a gaming mouse. In fact, my daily driver, the Myonix Avior 7000, sports a similar build to the M3. Just be mindful that it will wear out over time picking up oil stains. Ergonomically, the mouse suited me really well. I have large hands and my palm wrapped around the body comfortably. I can see even people with smaller hands appreciating the shape. The lack of side grips for your thumb and picky fingers could be a deal breaker, but I was totally fine without them. It's really geared towards either a palm or claw type grip, and unfortunately it isn't ambidextrous, so left-hand users need not apply. The bottom comes well equipped with appropriate Teflon pads, and they did a great job gliding on my aluminum mousepad, which is what I use for testing gaming mice. The cable is braided and it's also really flexible, but I'm not really a fan of their design. A much cleaner and stealthier approach would have been appreciated, but on the positive side, it can easily be differentiated from cables plugged in behind your PC. Plus, this is highly personal and I'm sure some gamers would love the look. The M3 comes with a total of 5 buttons. This includes the primary left and right clicks, the forward and backward buttons on the left side of the mouse, and the scroll wheel button. It's a pretty basic offering, but that's perfect for people who don't need a ton of macro controls. The primary buttons exhibit great tactile feedback, but I just wished that they could have been a little faster when compared to my Avior 7000. This could be due to the slightly longer travel distance it takes to actuate, but it doesn't require a lot of force. Another concern I had about the M3 was the forward browser button. It's placed a little too close to the front, and I found it to be a challenge reaching for it. This could be a major problem, especially for users with smaller hands. The scroll button doesn't require a lot of pressure to press, and the scroll steps are nicely defined. At the bottom we find 2 buttons, one to change the polling rate, which is best to leave at 1000 Hz, and the other to change your CPI, or counts per inch. That cycles through 5 different levels with 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and 4000 dpi. Those settings are color coordinated for easier distinction, but the lack of a driver software to tune more precise sensitivities is disappointing. The same goes for tweaking the liftoff distance. There's no way to reduce that, and with the sensor picking up movement beyond 2 mm away from the surface. At this price point, I expect a peripheral to include dedicated driver software to complement the user experience, but sadly, Xtrfy fails to succeed here. Let's talk about the Pixar 3310 optical sensor. Over the course of my testing, the tracking performance was good, and I do prefer optical sensors for both editing and gaming. Jumping into Battlefield 1, I was able to aim and target the subject pretty well, but the process of firing gunshots felt a lot slower than what I would get with the Avior 7000. Once again, this could be due to the slightly longer travel distance it takes to actuate the primary buttons, but to give you more insight on how it performs in Counter-Strike, I'll hand it off to Dimitri, where he'll put it up against the Rival 300 and Logitech's G Pro. So Dimitri, take it away.
Alright, so throughout my time with the mouse, it performed well without any strange behavior or strange artifacts with doing flicks and doing aim correction and doing spray control. Everything worked well. And the thing is, the 3310 sensor here is predictable. It's found among my favorite mice like the SteelSeries Rival 300, the Mono-X Caster, the Zoe FK1, all of which perform practically identical. And so it really comes down to personal preference in terms of the shape and the weight. The weight here is like in the middle. It's not a heavy weight. It's not a lightweight. I prefer mice at 90 grams and below, but this one's at 104 grams. So using it after a few days, really just get adjusted to it, and I can perform flicks, spray control, aim correction without any issues on the M3.
The lighting is pretty straightforward on the M3. There are 3 individual zones to showcase the yellow lighting, which ties in with Xtrfy's color scheme. This includes the ambient strip wrapped around at the front, the subtle lighting on the scroll wheel, and the Xtrfy logo, along with Heaton's autograph lit at the back. This is a branded mouse developed by ninjas in pajamas, so for you die-hard fans of the team, this could be a good collection. Do note that there's no RGB lighting and there's absolutely no way to turn off lighting, which sucks, and this is why they should have included a dedicated driver software in the first place. So is the Xtrfy M3 optical gaming mouse a good contender for competitive FPS gameplay? Not for me personally, because I think the SteelSeries Rival 300 offers a lot of features for a lot less. It comes with things like RGB lighting, dedicated driver software, a much simpler design that I prefer, and different color options that you can get to pick from. There are other mice that compete well too, many of which cost less. That being said, I'm not completely bashing the M3. It's a good mouse with solid build quality that has very good ergonomic design, similar to the Rival 300, and the Pixar 3310 optical sensor performed great for my tests. However, to me at least, the drawbacks here outweigh the benefits. The M3 has an overly high price, there is a lack of availability in the North American market, and the exclusion of a dedicated driver software is totally unacceptable for a gaming mouse at this price point. From a personal standpoint, the slower switches were also a turnoff since I'm used to much quicker response times. So I would skip this and look at much cheaper options that would offer a lot more features. But if you're real big fans of ninjas in pajamas, then this could be worth taking a look, provided you're aware of the drawbacks I mentioned earlier. So what do you guys think of the Xtrfy M3 optical gaming mouse? Are there any alternatives like the SteelSeries Rival 300 that you might be interested in? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Ibra with Canucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.